Welcome to this week's episode of Sunny Silver Linings. My name is Kam Kaila, and I'm so pleased to be able to be moderating this week's session. With me today, we have obviously Sunny Kaila, our host of Sunny Silver Linings, and Kevin Blake, who is a dear friend of ours, a partner of ours, and also a very successful entrepreneur. Kevin, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Cam, Sunny. I appreciate you guys including me in your Silver Linings edition here. So, my name is Kevin Blake. I'm the president and CEO of ICS. We are a traditional SMB managed service provider, headquartered out of Endicott, New York, which is about an hour south of Syracuse. We have a very large office in Syracuse, in Ithaca. We've been growing organically year over year and really gotten into doing a lot of M&A. So a lot of that, that's where I'm spending a lot of my time as a visionary and executing our M&A strategy. So thanks for having me.
Wonderful. So we got some big wigs in the house today. So I've come up with some evil plans for this week's session. So I have some really great questions. And we're going to be talking about leadership because both of you have pretty big organizations and you manage a lot of people. And I know that that's one of the challenges that many MSPs face is leadership, culture, growing their organizations. And so I'm going to give you a couple of tough questions that I really want great answers for our listeners here. So the first and foremost, you as leaders, what do you look for as attributes in a successful leader? And in turn, what do you also make sure that they don't have as an attribute? So why don't we go to Kevin first?
Okay. So when I'm looking at hiring folks or, we put a great deal of time and effort in defining our mission, our vision, and our core values. So the core values, FIT is the acronym. It's family, integrity, team. We put everything through that filter. So when we're interviewing folks, we use a version of a personality test called Make a Difference by Dr. Larry Little. So before we bring anybody in for an interview, we run them through that 20-question personality test. So we kind of got an idea of what their dominant personality is. And then we have structured a bunch of questions when we bring them in to try to identify, do they flow through that filter of family, integrity, team, right? So we look hard, right? We do our social media investigations and ask the poignant questions, and so that's a big part of our hiring process and how we identify folks. It's how we reward, it's how we promote, it's how we look to build leaders inside of an organization. That is a non-negotiable. Those core values are not just marketing words on a wall. We live them from the top down. So.
Great. And what about you, Sunster? Because we are happy here. Kevin mentioned it. We are happy. Our core values make us happy. We are humble, accountable, positive, passionate, and your community. So we are happy, right, Sunny?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's a lot of alignment there with the Kevin, and I know ICS, they have a very strong culture there, and they are really, a partner that is so near and dear to us just because of the culture alignment of both companies. And having said that, we do evaluate people on our core values, their culture, where they're well aligned with our mission, our vision, our core values. And then we do a little bit of competency assessment in terms of leadership. And the most important thing, Cam, after the culture, people who meet those happy core values and people that are humble, hungry, smart, we do, especially in the leadership, my next layer, a couple of things, right? EQ level. So are they stable emotionally? Are they healthy emotionally? Do they have the emotional awareness? Are they self-aware? Then it is intrapreneurship. Can they be an entrepreneurial leader within our company where they are innovative, they are building capabilities, and they have some proven value in terms of building capabilities, like an entrepreneur. And then it's overall leadership signature that they have, or leadership principles. And are they lifelong learners? Because no matter where you are, if you are a lifelong learner, you will develop yourself, you will be better tomorrow. And lifelong learning also gives you an indication that the person, even if they are lacking somewhere, if they are intentional about their personal development, their professional development, they're going to grow in that area, because when you are coaching them, you're guiding them, and they're hungry to grow, they will grow because they have that drive to learn and grow.
So you guys sidestepped my second part of the question. What is the one attribute that you would not hire if you see this in an individual? Kevin.
Well, I mean, first of all, Sunny, we're taking a chance here, giving Kam control of this whole thing. But it's going to be the opposite of the core values, right? So if we deem somebody through the interviewing process, or even through somebody that works here, is not showing that team value, right? It's more what's in it for me that And one of the things we've done at ICS is we've created a culture. It's about making a difference, right? So we do a lot of functions. We put a weekly email out with, we encourage our folks to bring the things they're passionate about. And then we look to have our staffs and the communities we serve, come together and work towards those, nonprofit organization. We're not biased in it, whether it's a church or whether it's a run or whatever it is. So we're looking for that teamwork attitude, right? So it's really evident to see. So like Sunny said, right? So we have our senior team that, we've spent a great deal of time. We spent a lot of money investing in grooming leaders. And as we're now looking at, we have that second level team. Same thing. If it's pretty evident if somebody is not a team player, right? If somebody doesn't have integrity, right? If somebody doesn't have that family mind, right? So we spent a great deal of time. I always tell everybody our secret sauce is our culture. People want to work here. So the traits we look for is the opposite to the core values, really. I mean, if somebody comes in and says, I want to make more money, the decisions we make here are not about money. I mean, yes, money is important and we want, the roles you're in, but there's more to life, right, than, making, whether you're dealing with a client or an employee, right? So it's important to ask the right questions and have people that fit those core values and culture.
Okay. Sunster, what about you?
Yeah, so I think pretty much core values. So if there's even one core value where the person is always negative, or their assessment shows or behavior during the first 90 days or even during annual reviews. So it's a plus minus, means sometimes they do, sometimes they don't exhibit that core value, but they are intentional about learning and growing in that area, then we're okay. But if it's negative and they are not committing to improving themselves or showing positive, the trending, then that's non-negotiable. That's number one. But the number two is just that teamwork, because at the end of the day, the world that we live in right now, it's all teamwork. It takes a village to get things done. And if you're one of those individuals where you think you know everything, you are the only one, then it's more like, you are not open to collaboration, you're not open to teamwork. And that is the difference then between a superstar and diva, where they can probably be good in something, but if they don't know that everyone have something unique, their unique ability, but they need to complete themselves by surrounding themselves with people with other unique abilities. But if they have that type of mindset, that attitude that Kevin was talking about, that they are not open to teamwork or collaboration, they think they are everything, then that is one thing that we will never, if we see that, we don't hire those individuals.
Right.
Okay.
Or if you've made the mistake and they've gotten through your hiring process, we will manage those types out.
Yeah. And they're so Kam, as you know, there are great examples where a salesperson can be the best performer, right? But if they lack core values or they lack that teamwork, they think company is not going to be able to meet sales targets without them, then doesn't matter. If it takes us, a step, we have to take a step backwards and then move forward. We are okay with that. In the beginning, we made our mistakes. We dealt with those people and accommodated them. that they're doing a really good job in terms of building revenue and other things. But now, slowly we learn that the cost of that type of person being in your system, emotional toll that other team members take and other A players take is much, much higher than their performance. So that's one area where we do not negotiate.
Okay. So you got to be positive and you got to align with good core values in order to be a good team member. So now, we've all been struggling. It's been a tough year. It seems like lickety split. It's gone. Thank the Lord. But one of the biggest challenges many leaders faced was how to really manage their teams through conflict and obstacles. Because when you're in the office, you can still see each other. Oh, I didn't mean that. And emails can sometimes be a little impersonal, and it's harder to manage people when they're not always in the office, and there's crisis and there's uncertainty. How have you each led your organizations through obstacles and turbulent times? And what do you think has been a key to your success? Kevin.
Yeah, you're right. This year has been an unprecedented year. The key for us, right, is over communication and compassion, right? So I don't care what business you're in. Everybody, when they were faced with, what part of your country, when it came down for us, it was March 16th when the stay-at-home order went into effect, and this unknown of how many of our customers are going to be affected. What's going to happen after we move them from home? And people tend to make up, their own minds if you don't over communicate, and usually what they decide on is the worst, right? So we put together an internal and external communication process. We, like everybody else, went through and identified all of our costs, identified, all of our employees, the different programs that were available as they were coming out. Right, for us, it was WorkShare and paid Federal Family Medical Leave Act, and so we, some of our certain divisions that couldn't go on site. We didn't want to cut anyone or have anybody feel pain, so we handled it with kid gloves. Our senior team got together. We were meeting daily, going through, identifying all of our costs, trying to be as conservative. We built plans out, what we were going to do if we lost this much revenue, for, a 10%, a 20%, 30%, and had different things triggers we could pull if we were faced with that. Thankfully, it has not been as bad as it could have been, and it has been for some other industries. But us, like anybody else, we're prudent. I'm convinced that cash is king, and to come through this thing, you needed to have a strong balance sheet. So we spent a lot of time there. We used a lot of compassion as we went through and identified if we could put something on WorkShare, how to make them whole. By using the different options that were available to us, then over communicating. In the first 2 months, I was on every Friday call to the whole company, right? We have roughly 100 employees. And then on top of that, the next level leaders, or the leaders of each department, doing daily touches with the team, funneling it right down through, reassuring the message, right? You had to be careful because you couldn't come out and say, hey, we're good, we're not making any cuts, because we didn't know. So you have to say it. You have to be as transparent and honest, because that's our core value, right? We have to have integrity. You can't say something that may or may not be true. But, so I came right out and just said, hey, listen, we are going through every line item, every cost. We're going to make the decisions to get as many people through this as whole as possible. I can't make any promises, but this is the situation we're faced with. So I think the keys were to be, handle people, right? We're in the people business. We're all in the people business, with compassion, love, and care, and be very transparent and over communicate.
What about you, Sunster? I know you were on daily calls.
Yeah. So
7 a.m.
So a couple of things, Cam. So we kept preaching every single day for people to keep their head and heart in the right place and focus on those 3 Ps that we talk about every day, that stay in present, one day at a time, guys, one day at a time, and then stay positive and stay productive. You can stay productive working from home as well. So every day, Cam, as you know, 7:45 a.m., I get up, coffee with community with all of our locations with 400 plus people join. And the key thing that we wanted to accomplish there was mindset. Keep focusing on the mindset, starting with that moment of gratitude in the morning, 15 minutes with the team, that kind of sets the stage for the entire day. And then we pick a core value of the week where we talk about at 7:45 at the company level town hall, and then all L10 like department leaders, N-1, N-2, all the L10s that are happening, they pick up the same value, same thing that we are talking about in the morning at 7:45, and they leaders, they start talking about that stuff in their individual departments and layers that are within their departments. Other piece, Cam, as you know, so culture, right? Mindset and then culture. We realize that now we have to take a different approach in terms of keeping everyone together and how we keep our culture strong and keep giving that message every day. Hey team, let's stay together as a team, as a community, focus on those 3 P's to get through this. And we are coming out of this very, very strong. And then innovation team that we built, that what is working well in the market, what is not working well, do we need to pivot with our products? So we have created taking volunteers from all these different departments with innovation team. So mindset, culture, innovation, and to keep that balance sheet strong, we involved everyone and things that we had to do to make sure that budgets are controlled and any kind of pay increase to other things that we had to pause for a few months, keeping that community as a message that, hey, let's all give up a little bit so that we can keep our community strong. And yeah, so that's what we focused on.
Great, thank you. So from what I'm hearing is community was really important. It was collaboration with your teams that really helped you through, a tough time. And I think through any tough time, it's not even this year. I think the one thing that I'm listening to and I'm hearing is collaboration and community are very important in leading your organizations. And you both have, done a great job with that. Let's pivot a little now, though, and let's talk a little bit about you guys as individuals and in your journeys to get to where you are. Now, we all have that one moment in our life that we're like, oh, crap, I should have done something different, right? Or that one moment that you wish you could take back. So I want to give our listeners a little bit of insight there. So what is the one moment, Kevin, that you're like, oh, that was a mistake and I shouldn't have done it? And don't you dare say married your wife, Sunster.
That's a hard question. I wish I acted quicker on, as you build the business, I was started as a tech and, kind of grew and to the point where you get, 8, 9 employees. And, before I knew it, all the problems I were getting were not technical problems; they were people problems, right? Like, your customers are not complaining about the job they did, but your guy was here, but they didn't talk to me, or they didn't tell me what they did, or this tech's upset with this tech. It wasn't until I knew I wanted to keep growing the business so I got to figure out this people thing, right? So this is the business we're in. Naively, when I started, as a typical E-Myth, right? So I was a tech and. I then started to engage my networks, right? So thankfully I was in a peer group structure. It was HTG back then. And, I had a SWOT done and, they came out and kind of put it right in my face that, the problem's you. and me, would say, oh, that person's lazy or kind of push the blame off. And I just had a mind shift change. And once I made that mind shift change that, the problem's at the top. I mean, I'm leading. So I needed to lead by example. I kind of flipped the org chart. I work for the people. I work for the people in my organization. They don't work for me. When I made that mind shift change, I mean, it was just like an amazing where our culture set in. And, I probably lost 3-4 years of growth just because I could have made that decision sooner and leveraged my peers and listened, instead of this, cocky type attitude, like, I'm the president, I they have to do what I say. It's just not the right way to think about it. And, if I were to have acted quicker, I can't imagine where we would be today, size-wise. So.
Okay. And what about you, Sunster?
Yeah, so Cam, I'm 100% in agreement with Kevin, with people, right? So sooner you realize as a leader that it's all about people, your product is your people. If you focus on people, they're going to focus on customers. Happy people means happy customers. But one thing that, if I have to pick one thing, different thing, and that is focus. So I did not realize the power of deep work. And I have recently started adopting that idea of focus. And focus being, as entrepreneurial DNA is entrepreneurial DNA, because you can solve almost all the, you have the tendency to get into everything and solve everything the problems that you see around you in any department at the company level, you want to solve all of them. But I think that what I've realized is that you have to make a choice, what to fix next, and that is that comes down to focus. And if you remember, as an example, Cam, shiny objects that I used to see almost every month, every week, and we took that we made a huge mistake a couple of years ago by starting a software, when we were not ready, and that was also without focus. So we were doing things and we wanted to kind of do this as well. And I did not make the right choice because I was distracted and I did not channelize my energy into making that new product successful, because I did not have that bandwidth required to make it successful. So now what I have learned over time is that focus, what you are focusing on in a 90-day view or a year, you got to have your plans, that VTO and EOS, and then just stay focused. Don't get distracted. Stay focused and stay away from shiny objects.
That's good, Sunny. I would say the exact same for me. We adopted EOS 3 years ago, and amazing how when the whole team listens to, when you say, I would come into a meeting, I'm going to start an ice cream chain, or I'm going to buy this business or this building, and it would just be distraction that would funnel down through, where the US has given us a structure. I don't care what platform you use. For us, that's worked good. But we've had a facilitator come in, and it's provided focus, right? It puts the 10-year target, the 3-year target, the 1 year, the quarterly, right down to what I need to be working on all the way through. And that focus is a good one. So.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So then I'm also going to ask you at the same time, what is the one risk? Sunny's all about gratitude. We have this gratitude challenge in the company, 21 days of gratitude. What is the one risk that you took that you are so grateful that you took it? That really, it changed things for you. So you're up first, Kevin.
So 2010, I did my first acquisition. We bought a $1.5 million IT company an hour and a half from our headquarters, right? Never done an acquisition before. I naively thought I'd go in and start, we were always pretty focused on our managed service offering and, following best practice throughout the industry. So I figured I'll buy this company who's basically a break fix company, and, we will sell them all, convert their customers to our plans and sell them all the backups and the stuff that we're selling. Naively, people generally don't like change. And, I did not do it with a strategic approach. So it was a big risk, right? So I took on the debt, I bought the company. It was a hard 1.5, 2 years, right? So, but now that I look back, that was 2010. I have since done 3 additional acquisitions, and, we are very strategic. We have an M&A playbook. We execute right down through. We're at the point now we have an integration management office that just focuses on integration after you buy a company. So that was a big risk to do that at that stage of the size we were, but it definitely paid off. So.
Very nice. What about you, Sunster? What's the risk that we took?
The risk of going to India and starting our offshore operation. And Kam, as you know, 2008, right after working with you for a few days, I finally got that permission that, okay, I can go to India to do my feasibility study of, what we need to do if we want to create our own 24/7 NOC operation for ITBD customers, because our hedge funds, they were demanding that 24/7 at that point, and we did not see any player in the market where they had the quality to cover that 24/7. And I don't want to name companies, but at that time, 2008, there was only one company available to MSPs, and they were not doing a good job. And yeah, so that's the risk that that comes to my mind, that I'm so glad that we took that risk, because I went there to do feasibility study, and I came back after 2 weeks hiring 5 people for our own NOC operation. But then that became so successful for us that our peers started asking about our GP secret sauce and how we are delivering and growing the top line and the EBITDA. And they took some engineers from us, and we built teams for them as go-givers. That became something, like new. And where we are today is because of that 2008 risk, that we were able to pivot a little bit and tap into a bigger opportunity.
Very nice. Now, I have a question. So when you are looking within your organization, how do you get weigh-in and buy-in with your vision and your mission? Not everybody always agrees with what you say as leaders, right? You guys are visionaries here, and you're going to be like, we're like squirrel, and we're looking and you. How do you each, what's your process? How do you communicate that? How do you get the team on board with what your vision is for something? Kevin, you're up.
Yeah. We call that, they used to have a term, seagulling, for me, right? So if you remember that term, I don't know. I'd go to a conference, I'd go on the internet and read something, and we're going to do this, and I just fly over, drop a file, and then just keep moving. So they termed it that. So EOS and my peer structure has helped me get more focused on that. I am that shiny object guy, right? So I'm also very driven. So we've set a goal of what we're trying to build here at ICS, and it's got to fit in that framework. So as I come back with ideas, I'm the one that's pushing people outside their comfort zone, or trying to be creative, and I do a lot of the ideation around if we're going to change our offering. But I'm not a detail guy, right? So I don't typically see the details. So we've actually set up a process where I can then have like a board, right? I dump stuff out of my mind and different ideas of what we want to do. Hey, we want to move into this area. I've had some crazy ideas of buying different companies and trying to get more revenue share, and sell to our customers, which have been poo-pooed. And gratefully, somebody did stand up to me and say no. That's the balance, right? Because as the owner, people generally don't want to stand up to you. So you have to surround yourself with people that are going to be honest. You don't want to stifle a true visionary's creativity, because that's what makes them tick. I can feed that piece of me by, I've invested in other businesses, and I've had some great successes, and it drives me, right? So I don't have to, I can stay focused on ICS and feed my entrepreneurial spirit through other venues as well as through M&A, right? So, and under the ICS umbrella, the M&A is how I'm feeding that mostly now. But it did take some hard conversations with the leadership team and outside consultants to get me focused on, what are we striving for, and does it go through that lens of hitting this goal, right? Can't move the goalpost. If you start moving the goalpost, when you've created your structure, what you're trying to build, you lose players. So, and I learned that, and it did take some discipline. But I don't think there's an easy answer to your question. I hope I'm talking broadly, but that's, visionaries are unique types. You need them. You also need people that will, because for every probably great idea you have, you probably have the 30 ideas that may cost you some money and time. So,
yeah. What about you, Sunny?
Yeah. So Cam, I did not even know what is, the meaning of buy-in just a couple of years ago. And just to give an example, Cam, as you remember, if you remember when Arnie came here after we were at IT Nation, and he came here to visit us, and it was early stage for lab tech. He was talking to me, and he's like, "This is one of the greatest product out there." And I did not realize that. Okay, I need to check with our CTO and other people. You do check, but do you have really true buy-in? So we just signed off on that deal. And then for 3 years, we were not able to use LabTech. So he was, so LabTech was signed, and then we did not implement, moved from Kaseya to LabTech. For 3 years, we were paying their monthly fee. That's when I realized that, okay, they said yes, but did it really mean yes? So they did not implement until they got Screen Connect. They were right. It was so slow to use until Screen Connect came out, they were not able to use it. That's when I started talking to, Brad, and whenever I have something and I don't know, I'm thinking team is on board with me, but then results, that outcome is not aligning with what I'm thinking. And that's when we engaged Brad with the AIPs, the strata process, to go through that, what's working, what's not working, what we should start doing, what we should start a quarterly exercise, annual exercise. And then we ran into, so buy-in started from there. That's when we are like, let's involve, engage everyone, your key people, in the decision making. So in terms of our vision building, then when we started using EOS later on, so the VTO to everything from core value starting. So co-creating that 3-year plan was our first attempt with the EOS. And then because what happened, Cam, with the AIPs, we had great plans, but the execution was not really working for us. So that's when we were introduced into EOS. And now we have the AIPs building or buy-in process. And then you have the VTO properly defined using EOS, and using L10 meetings, we are driving execution on a weekly basis. And so using kind of a hybrid model. And on the culture side, as you know, we partnered up with the John C. Maxwell's Academy and their leadership stuff that is coming with some other associations out there. So keeping a kind of a combination, that hybrid model, to have the buy-in, have the execution, and the communication that starts with when you're creating when that plan is co-created, people know where are we going, right? In terms of our revenue plans, a 3-year picture, 1-year picture, and then you have these projects, these rocks behind that. And the buy-in is one word, but it takes a lot of energy, resources, and wisdom to do it right.
Thank you. Now, last question. How each of you as leaders, part of the idea is not just you guys bringing the great ideas, it's getting your team to be invested. And I think, Sunny, you used the word intrapreneur, right? To be an entrepreneur within your organization and to really be innovating, because I think that's one of the keys that leaders have to do, is that you can have great ideas, but how you get your team to bring you great ideas. They're the ones that are in the trenches and can see different and new ways of bringing things to fruition. So how do each of you within your organizations cultivate or grow innovation and new ideas?
So can I go first this time?
Sure. Let Kevin a moment to think about it.
Okay. So Cam, it starts the innovation and everything that you need to do in terms of cultivating creativity in your teams. It starts with creating that safe environment. So if someone comes to you with an idea, rather than starting with how, start with wow, and start with tell me more. Right? So you want to make sure that if the team knows that if they make bigger choices, they take a risk. That is what entrepreneurship is. We take risks, we make mistakes, we fail, we go and move forward. As long as they know that the environment that the top leader is creating is a safe environment, it's okay to fail, it's okay to start something which is innovative and fail, and they will not have any kind of consequences. And you are more of kind of using techniques like what we use, Kam, is experience transformer. So if there is a failure, you go through that process, that tool that we use to reflect and learn from that. So if our leaders, there is a safe environment, it's conducive to that creativity, it's conducive to risk taking, and then you give them the tools to make sure that they have the tool and they know if they make a mistake, all you want them to do is learn from that mistake and not repeat the mistake. So it's about the creating that culture which is conducive to innovation and risk taking.
Now, one thing I wanted to add to that too, Sunny, we even in career growth, we're talking about innovation, but also in career growth, we promote that people should try different parts of the business, and it's okay if you try it and you don't like it, you can always rewind and go back, right? I think that's also important because we may have hired someone here, but little did we know that they would flourish here.
Yeah,
right?
There's so many examples, right? From Kitan, who is now service. He started with your division in sales marketing, to Christina, to a lot of individuals. So we look at this as a career tree. So if you are going up, you are on this branch moving up, but you don't like it, as long as you're flexible and willing to come down a little bit, because you have to come down from that branch to the center and then pick another branch. As long as you are flexible there, we co-create your career plan with you and give you enough flexibility to move from one role to another role.
Okay. Kevin, you're up. Innovation.
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, we like Sunny said, you have to create the environment, a safe environment, and we've done that. I think of how decisions get made inside ICS, and and the evolution of how that's come. I mean, for instance, we had the same 4 helpful list on a SWOT, and getting the feedback from the team. And we've done it a few times over the last 10 years, but always it's communication, right? So we were swung the other way. We made actually a communication committee, which is made up from members from every area of the company, and everything that and how we communicate is actually processed out, and we've agreed to it. So when an employee leaves, right? So we've agreed that if someone gives 2 weeks notice, that a week before they leave, we will inform the whole company. I mean, these are things I wouldn't think would bother employees, but they bothered employees. They wanted to be able to say goodbye if someone who was working out. So we've created policies around that. A lot of the good ideas we have an ICS Cares program. That didn't come from me, right? We have a weekly newsletter that has, a shout out section when somebody wants to praise one of their teammates for doing a good job or help them out in something. That thing is packed every week. That didn't come from me. A lot of the great ideas in the company didn't come from me, and I'm proud of that, right? And same thing, we kind of built this culture around how to make a difference in our employees, how to make a difference in our employees' lives, and we put that out there, and we encourage same in people's career path, and as we're meeting with them on their reviews and whatnot, we want one personal goal. What's something you're working towards outside of your career development goals, right? So I think it's important to not treat somebody as what they can do for you in work, or just focus on what's in work. Because I got to be honest with you, most times when you have a problem with an employee, something's going on outside of work, and you have to have that conversation. And you have to build leaders inside your company that's willing to also have those conversations, not say we check at the door. It's just not who we are, and that's who we're going to hire. So it's not a one thing; it's a lot of little things, and it's building that culture to do that. And we have a lot of focus groups where people come in, and sometimes they come in on their own time, like 7 a.m. To new product ideas, or communication committee, or the entertainment committees. I mean, a lot of those things are all happening from all areas of the company. And it was a concerted effort from us to create a platform to allow people to have a voice and to communicate. I like to say don't. I'm the guy that always comes with a wow, right? So I always say, don't kill the wow with a how, because I hate when people say, well, how are you going to do that? It's never going to work. All right, so, but we have a lot of people bringing those ideas, which is great, and we'll throw it on the wall and we'll talk through it. I'm a type of guy that there's not any hurdles that are going to stop me. What's the issue with that? Let's break that down and see how we can get past it. So, yeah.
And that's the power of peer groups as well, Kevin. With our shared peer group, knowledge sharing there. So what we learned, I learned that wow, move from how to wow in that peer group that we share.
Yeah.
And Cam, one more thing there is, so our mantra, which is so powerful, and we recently started doing that just about a year ago or something, and I think that gave people a lot more creativity, is choose big and choose early. Make bigger choices.
Yeah. Think bigger. That's what I say. Same thing.
Yeah. Kevin, thank you for coming and joining my podcast, and lot of valuable insights. Thank you for sharing with us and our community. We appreciate it. We appreciate your partnership. And one company that I always talk about, which is so near and dear to us just because of their culture alignment with us, is ICS. Thank you for your partnership, and thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you, Sunny. I appreciate it. I also appreciate you guys shifting and doing your Build It conference. I did attend. Got a lot of good tidbits out of it, some of the sessions. So thankful to have you guys in our channel. You're one of our most valued partners. So I appreciate the partnership.
Well, very nice. And thank you so much, gentlemen. It was an absolute pleasure to chit chat with you. Thanks so much, Kevin. Wait till you see our communities of practice coming. And so I look forward to, obviously, Sunny, you're going to be back for your next episode of Sunny Silver Linings, but I look forward to coming back and being able to interview you and more of our guests. And Kevin, we look forward to having you back as well in the future. And thanks so much, everybody. And that's this episode of Sunny Silver Linings. Until next week, we will see you later.